Okay, so we're gonna start going over the US30 strategy, how I take trades, my entries, and basically the breakdown from beginning to end. So first and foremost, when I start with US30, you will also have a PDF. I'm sorry for going back and forth, but you'll also have like a printout or some type of writing that I'll put together with these notes of what you're going to look for on each time frame. And yeah, so the best time to trade when you get the best moves is at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. So remember that at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time is when the market is going to move the fastest with US30, and that's when I take my trades and get the most profit. And usually by like 11 or so ish, I'm done. Just with the 9:30 a.m. move alone, I can have my profit for the day and be done. So what we do first, we look at the 4 hour when analyzing. I do sometimes just take a look at the day when the week is just starting, just so I could get a glimpse onto what's going on for that day or for that week, or you just look at the week. But you start on the 4 hour, and what you do on the 4 hour is you're going to look for market direction. So you're going to see if the market is in an uptrend, if it's in a downtrend, so if it's buying or it's a selling market. Look for the highest high point and the lowest low point. So you're pretty much going to look for a zone for that day. So like here is highest point. Let's change the color. Why isn't this changing? No. And then before this move earlier today, we were in this zone right here. So this was our zone. You're going to place support and resistance areas. So what we're going to do is go to text and make sure you know that this is the 4 hour, as well as here 4 hour. So first and foremost, like I said, 4 hour market direction. You're going to do your high and low points, your support and resistance. You can also mark your trend lines as well. So like I see here, 1, 2. We're going to make all 4 hour one color. And then I'm going to put this zone here. I usually, I do mark it, but I kind of know what I'm looking at specifically, like with knowing which line is which trend line, which support and resistance. So I'm just marking it so that you guys can see, and it will help you as well. After you do that, you're gonna go down to the 1 hour. And you're going to see if these lines, your support and resistance, are still valid on the 1 hour. And as you can see, it's still valid. So the trend line, the support, the resistance. Now, once you get down to the 1 hour, you can mark more levels of support, resistance, and then trend line. So like I see this here. And then change the color. We're going to mark that red and put 1 hour. This is still valid. So the support and resistance is still valid as well. You have another level of support here. So put the horizontal line, change the color so you know it's for that specific time frame. You guys are going to watch this and then more than likely you're going to be like, it can't be that easy. So there's your support level. On the 1 hour, you're also going to look for market direction. You're also going to look for support and resistance. And you're going to look to see what potential there is for buys and sells. So for entries, you could have marked this as well. All right, now from the 1 hour, I don't use the 15-minute, you can, but that's not part of my strategy itself. Here is the 15-minute time frame. On the 15-minute time frame, you're going to look for potential buys and sells as well. You're going to confirm that this is either a buyer's market or a seller's market. You don't want to move against the trend. So if you're in a buyer's market, you're not going to want to look for sells. Or if you're in a seller's market, you're not going to want to buy against the market if it's in a seller's market. What we're doing on the 15, we're going to look for breakouts and retests. So how you see the breakouts here, retest. Same with trend lines, breakouts or retest. So this would be a great example of a retest. Here's a test. Same with the support level, retest. Same with this trend line. It hit it again, it retested. This would be an example of a breakout. So here's the support level. It pushed through, it broke out below the support level, it retested and continued. So on the 15-minute, you're going to look out for breakouts and retests and just confirmation of what you have going on with what you already put on your chart. Just make sure it's still valid and get an idea of what you're looking at. Now, on the 5-minute, this is where I do all my entries. I do take some entries on the higher time frame, but not during the morning. So 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, I only take entries on the 5-minute time frame because the market moves so quickly. So it's all scalping for me. So let's make this bigger. So this is actually, let's look at we're going to look at a trade that was taken this morning in the signal group. So here is a level of resistance, as you can see, because it kept hitting, didn't want to break, didn't want to break. So this is a level of support on the 5-minute. I do this a little bit prior to the 9:30 a.m. Eastern time trading scalping session, just so I can have everything in a row so I know what I'm looking at. And then here is, oh, sorry, this was resistance. And then here's your support. So through here, we were in this zone. This right here where there's a gap, this is when the market had just opened. So this opened at on Sunday at 6:05. That's when the candlestick had opened and it created this gap. So what I was looking for, and well, what you will see when we do this, I was looking to fill this gap. Usually the market goes back to fill the gap. But what we've seen here is a nice buy for a little bit, bounce off of the support area, a couple of potential breakouts. So it kept trying to break out, break out, break out. It couldn't, bounces off the support level. At that point, you could have went in for a sell. So there's certain things that you're going to look for on the 5 minute, and that is you're going to execute and, you know, trade the retests and the breakouts here. So these will be the scalping sniper entries. But a couple of things you're looking for on the 5 minute is a 3-point touch. That's number one. And you're looking for rejection off of support or resistance, and hard rejection. When I say hard rejection, I mean like, oh, excuse me. When I say hard rejection, I mean like, let me just show you an example. It's better to see this, where there's a long wick. Let's move this out of the way really quick. Wicks, 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 long wicks, wicks. So it try to go for a buy. It couldn't. It pushed off the resistance area and pushed down. At that point, I would have got in for a sell, and I would have sold to the support area. So what's different when it comes to scalping is, and we will do a couple of back testing with this as well. What's different when it comes to scalping is it's quick in and out moves. So with this, if I were to have taken this trade, I would have put my stop loss above the previous wick high, and I would have put my take profit at the next level of support. So probably around here. Oops, let's push this out. Just because we had all these wick rejections, so I wanted to secure some profit. When I do enter, so I'm in for a sell right here. When I do enter, I move my stop loss quickly, usually. So let's say I ended up getting in for a sell here. We're going to do this live. So, well, not live, but we're going to back test. Actually, let's just black test right here. So this is the market itself. Here's the next candlestick. Push to the upside, push to the upside. Rejection off of the resistance. You can look at that as potential breakout, but you're not going to get in yet. It keeps bouncing off of the resistance. I did not get in yet. So here is when I would look for an entry. So I would get in. I would have got in here, place my stop loss, and then, like I said, my take profit. Now you see how it keeps rejecting in this area. This is the level of resistance. So I can see that it is a lot stronger than what it shows, because in the past it rejected off of it. It rejected, it tried to push through for a breakout, couldn't, and it's still rejecting. So at that point with me, with my account size, and I would see this move in all those rejections, I would have put a second entry right there with the same stop loss and the same take profit. Okay, so with this rejection, this previous candlestick with that rejection, I would have seen that and I would have moved my stop loss below my entry point. So wherever I had entered, move it to break even or right below so that now it moves risk free. The only time you move your stop loss above your entry point is when there's clear rejection or there's a clear breakout. Because then you'll see like the previous candlestick, it tends to like jump up before continuing back down, like this one right here. It jumped up and it would have knocked you out. So if there's clear wick rejection, then I will move my stop loss. And then at that point, I'll move it again, move it down. This is securing profit because we had these 3 wicks, 3-point touch, 3 wicks rejection. And then you would have won both your trades. So when I enter a trade and there's a clear breakout, which we are going to end up seeing, it's a trade that we took today. When there's a clear breakout, I will continue to do entries as we pass levels of support and resistance. So let's keep going. This is the market itself moving. You see it ended up going off of the support area and went back up. Now we're at a level of resistance again to see what happens. Now we have a breakout. So at that point, it can retest, but at that point, since that was so strong, I would go in for a buy at the point that it had passed there. I would go in for a buy and I'll place it above the previous, place my stop loss below the previous candlestick. And then my take profit would be the next area of resistance. The same indicators you use to get in for a trade are the same ones you use to get out. So sometimes when you are scalping, if you get in for a trade and you see this 3-point touches or hard rejection off of the support or resistance area, that's a sign to move your stop loss or to get out. And it's okay if I don't always hit. That's why sometimes you don't see a lot of the times you don't see my trades with the green on the side that it hit my take profit, because I will get out and secure my profit. At that point, I did get in. I sent it to the signal group. We did get in for a buy and it went up. It went up. Now I'm keeping an eye right here because you have those 2 wicks. So I want to see if that's going to turn into a level of resistance. Okay, so it broke. Okay, at that point, this is a level of resistance. You see 1, 2, 3. That's a fake breakout. Just as quick as it went up is just as quick as it dropped. I would get out of this clear, hard rejection off of this level of resistance. That ended up turning into a doji. Being in the elite group, you know that the doji shows a change of trend. But with the US30 strategy, a doji off of support or resistance is the strongest indication than anywhere else in the chart. So I don't care if this continues to buy. At this point, that doji off this level of resistance is the strongest indication for me to get out. When you see dojis on the support or resistant areas, they are such strong confirmations. If it shows anywhere else, I will look at it as a potential change of trend, but off of the support or resistance, I'm not messing with it. I'm getting out. So at that point, I'm out. You would secure profit. Now let's see what happens. Look at that. Seeing that doji off of that level of resistance, you could have went in for a sell. Two clear rejections off this level of resistance, not to mention that you have the doji double wick. That was a clear indication of a sell. So now we're below the level of resistance again. At this point, you can wait, but me with my account size and my the clear rejections and going straight below this level of resistance again, I would look for potential sells. So at that point, I'm gonna see what the next candlestick does, but at that point, I would look for a sell, honestly. And I'll place it here again. Um, 9:30 session, okay? At this point, we're gonna be at 9:30 a.m. so that this is when the market really moves, okay? Usually I don't have a stop loss right away with the 9:30 a.m. session. I do suggest you do that and you place it above previous wicks. I personally don't, because the market moves so fast and I'm using very high lot sizes and I don't want to get triggered so quickly. So there we go. Boom, downside, still selling. All right. Now we have that rejection to the downside. I'm gonna see if, seeing as it didn't hit no support level, I'm still holding. I want to see if we could break this level of support. So with that being said, let's move the market up. And I want to place it here. I want my take profit to be there. What I am looking for is this break of support, and I'm going to want to close this gap. So usually, like I had told you before, this is what we're going to look for, and I wanted to show it to you when the market opens. A lot of the times it makes a gap. So on Sundays, I look for the gap. That's why you see Sundays, sometimes I gain profit already once the market opens, because I'm looking to close this gap. The market will come and retest to touch it. So that's what I'm looking for right now. Bounce off of the level of support, but we still had clear indication to the downside, so I'm still holding. Now, this is where it gets interesting because we're right here at the level of support. If we break out, I would put in another trade for a sell and I would move my stop loss. Another thing, when I will show you, but when I do take a second trade, when we break levels of support, break levels of resistance, or break trend lines, and I do take another trade, I always move my stop loss to the entry of my next trade, like the trade that I took, because I want to make sure that I secure my profit. And when I take that second trade, since it's not the best entry as the first one, we're going to run these risk free. You'll see as we do it. All right, rejection in both directions. So I'm still watching. All right, here we go, clear. I'm going in for a sell. Once it would have broke this, I would have went in for a sell. So now sell. We ended up getting in there, but I would move my stop loss down to the stop loss for this one, so that if I do, so if this trade ends up buying, sorry, seeing as I'm in for a sell, if it ends up buying, hits my stop loss, but this ends up securing my profit. So seeing as I got in here, I'm already in profit. I move it down, I'm securing profit. If this hits my stop loss, I still have all this profit. If this one hits my stop loss, I'll lose a little bit of money, but this will balance it out. So we're gonna put the take profit here. Clear rejection, 1, 2, 3. Let's zoom in. 1 wick, 2 wicks, 3 wicks. This is a hard rejection. Now we turned this level of support into a level of resistance. Let's see what happens. Another rejection off of this level of resistance that was previously a level of support. This happened from the 9:30 session. This is what I mean by you only need this 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, and it created this big moves. These are 5 minutes, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 minutes, and you have all that movement. Even just with the 5, 10, 15, within 20 minutes, 15 minutes, you could have your profit for the day, depending on your lot size, depending on how much money you have in an account, and depending on what your goal is for that day. So it ended up buying up to the level of resistance. It tried to sell and went back up to the level of resistance, created a doji, and dropped. Now I would move my stop loss again, how this stop loss was at right here, move it down, move this stop loss down. So now not only was our entry point up here for the first trade, now it's all the way down here, you're securing profit. Our entry point was up here for the first trade, now it's all the way down here, you're securing profit. Now you just won both of your trades because it hit take profit. Now we're gonna go over different examples of the 3-point touch, and we're going to go over different examples of the wick rejections. So strong rejections off support and resistance, as well as the 3-point touch. I'm trying to find you guys a good example. Okay, so here you see this was the 1 hour. For trend lines, what you're looking for is a 3-point touch. You could do it. I do this on mostly the higher time frames, and I look for breakouts on the 5-minute time frame. Breakouts and retests. So the 3-point touch on the trend line, you created your trend line, you have a wick rejection, and then this is still the 5-minute, but you have a wick rejection, it touched again, it tried to break out of the trend line and it didn't, and you have another wick rejection and touched again. So it touched all 3 here. That would have been my 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you really needed 3, so I would have been in for a buy here, but 3-point touch and potential breakout, but it ended up being a fake breakout with continuous touches on the trend line. That's what you look for indications for a buy. If the trend line's below, if it's above, then you look for a sell. So let's go to a higher time frame so you can see this better. As I said, 9:30 a.m. session, I do the scalping. Any other time I would use higher time frames, so 15-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour for my entries, and I will pretty much enter on trend lines, levels of support, and levels of resistance. So like here, the rejection off the level of support as well as the trend line would indicate a sell. Continuous rejection off the trend line, which this also turned into a level of resistance, you go for a sell. Let's look over here. We had a lot going on over here. So let's mark this up really quick. Remove drawings. So looking at this, we got a lot of movement last week on this. We had seen this level, this zone. Let's just do it as a zone. This zone right here. And then this zone right here. All right, so we had continuous rejection to the from the downside, continuous rejection here as well, off of a zone or a level of support. I did actually get in here for a buy, and I bought it up to here once I seen these rejections, these continuous wick rejections off of this previous wick rejection. You see how there is a strong previous wick. I knew that there was like a zone there or a level of resistance. Once I got there, and then I seen more rejection off that level of resistance, I got out. I used that as a take profit. So let me show you. I ended up entering here when there was continuous wick rejection, and I put it below the previous wick rejection right here. And my take profit was the highest point of the previous wick rejection on the level of resistance. So that was my take profit. And it ended up hitting exactly. I got out somewhere along these lines. So I ended up just seeing this right here, how this long buy candlestick ended up touching the level of resistance, and I got out. I didn't care about this extra profit. I just ended up getting out because I knew this was a strong level of resistance or strong rejection in the past. So I took what I got. What you're looking for is small wins or big wins or very, very small losses. We're not looking for big losses. So I was happy. Profit is profit, gratitude. When I seen this rejection, these couple of rejections here, I did get in for a sell. So, and my stop loss was above the previous wick as well, previous wick rejection or zone. And then my take profit was again the support zone. So I wrote it all the way up to here, seeing the wick rejections, 3-point touches. You could say that as 3-point touches as well, and wrote it back down to the level of support. Now, when we're at the level of support, and I did not get in. I definitely didn't get in here because there was a rejection from the outside, but I did get in around this candlestick. I seen this nice rejection off the level of support, wick rejection. This was, in my opinion, a hard rejection off the level of support. At that point, I did get in for a buy. So I was in for a buy, like right there. My stop loss was above the previous hard rejection, and I was looking for this as a take profit So I ended up taking my profit there. It did ended up breaking out, and I got back in after I took profit here. It did a breakout. I wanted to see if it was going to turn around, and it did not. It broke out and it did a retest. At that point, you could get back in, especially with these wick projections turning this level of resistance or this zone into a level of support. You would place your stop loss below that zone, because if it's a fake breakout and it goes back below, then you're out. You're okay. My take profit, I'm looking at this level right there. Because of this level of support in the past. Also, it was a level of resistance, and we had wick rejections. So I was looking at that for a take profit, and it went right through it. So that would have been continuous profit, profit to the upside, to the downside, to the upside again, re-entry, profit to the upside. You don't have to get in with every move. You really don't. Especially the US30 is very volatile. I suggest you have minimum at least $300, and with that, you're going to be putting in micro lots. That's 0.01. Now we have consolidation here, consolidation. One thing you should know about US30, it does in fact respect, it respects trend lines, it respects patterns. So double tops, double bottoms, stuff like that, it does respect that. But you still have to be aware of what the trend is, as well as be aware of what the trend is and be aware of the time, because like I said, 9:30 a.m., it's vicious. It will do a hard move. Okay, so be mindful of the time that you're taking these trades. So I see a 3-point touch I could show you guys. Here's 1, 2, 3. It touched, trend line, touch, trend line, touch, touch. So multiple touches, and you could have placed a sell to the downside to the level of support. And that's exactly where it went to. I use levels of support and levels of resistance as my take profits. Like I said, I do get out early, or I move my stop loss. I move my stop loss when there's a hard rejection off of a level of support resistance, or there's a clear breakout. That's when I move my stop loss. And sometimes I just get out early because I'm happy with my profit. I also, like I showed you, when there's clear rejection or clear breakouts, I get in for another trade. So I'll have 2 trades running, and that's when, I move my lot size from the first trade to secure profit, so that if the trade does turn around, I don't lose anything regardless. Now, one thing I did see, let's take this out, even on higher time frames like the daily or the weekly, you can see if you add your Bollinger Bands, it is very helpful. It's very helpful. So on the daily, you've seen rejection. This ended up turning into a level of support. So there was rejection, another rejection off, level of resistance, another rejection off this level of resistance. And at that point, I would have been like, okay, I'm going to get in for a sell. This is the daily. We already know that when you take trades or you see indications or confirmations on a higher time frame, it's a lot stronger than any other time frame, because each one of these candlesticks took a day to form. So these are going to be longer trades, like a swing trade or intraday trader. Same with here. rejections off this level of support signifies a buy. So I could have gotten for a buy through any of these and bought up. I wouldn't have bought up as far as here because I would have known it was going to go there, but I would have bought to like right there because of the previous level of resistance, which also served as a previous level of support. So that's where I would have bought up to. But even from there through 33,842, 34,812, that's at a 0.01, that's $1,000 right there. Just letting that run. 0.01, the smallest lot size, that's $1,000 right there. I use a 1.00 usually. Sorry. Yeah, I use a 1.00 usually. So that's $1 a lot with the broker that I put it on. So that's $10,000 right there with a 1.00. Now, just practice. We'll go over this briefly, real quick. So like I said, when the week starts or when the month starts, the week starts, I look at the daily and I look at the week just to see what's going on, just to see if there's any gaps that we're going to have to fill. And then 4 hour, like we said, you're going to look for market direction. You are going to look to place trend lines, support, and resistance. From the 4 hour, you go down to the 1 hour. From the 1 hour, you see if those levels are still valid, if the market direction is still valid. That's what you're going to look for in the 1 hour, and you're going to place more support and resistance or see if there's any trend lines. 15-minute potentials. You're looking for your potential buys, potential sells, what zones we're in. So look for zones like right here, zone. We were in this zone right here. And you'll look to see if there's any breakouts or retests. At 5 minutes, that's the execution, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. That's the execution for the very big pushes, very big moves. That's when you look for breakouts. You look for the 3-point touch. You'll look for clear rejections off support and resistance. You'll look for retest. And that's when you're going to make all of your money. Like even here, look. That's an ugly trend line, but you get the point. It was bouncing off, bouncing off, bouncing off. So I marking the 5 minute right here for this morning. This is kind of how my chart looked for the 5 minute for 9:30 a.m. session. This is how my chart looked. And I had this trend line going because it kept touching, but it wasn't pushing through. And then once I seen this clear breakout from the level resistance, we went in for a buy. I seen the double wick rejection, especially this doji. I closed to that and it pushed down for a sell. There was no retest, absolutely no retest. So be aware of that as well. Sometimes when there is no retest, it could be a breakout, but it could be a fake breakout. So look for indications to get out. At that point, I had an indication to get out. I got out, and then you can sell. It went back into the zone. I sold, and it pushed all the way down to the level of support. Then there was clear rejection and it broke out the level of support. And I was looking to close this gap. And that's exactly what it did. That's where the market is right now. And that's pretty much how I take my trades for US30. I'm sorry for the pause. I was trying to get my phone to connect. But I will have all of this up and running for you guys. And let's see what we can do about making some profit.